Welcome to Chat with an Academy Scientist. This happens every weekend, soon with a name change. And this is a great way to learn what is going on behind the scenes here at the Academy, what our scientists are doing, what research is going on. And today we're talking with Charles Griswold, who's one of my favorites. And he is a spider expert, but I suppose there's probably a fancier name for that, right?
You can call me an arachnologist, because I study arachnids. Who knows what an arachnid is? Yeah, you know what an arachnid is. Can you tell me?
Arachnids
are arthropods,
wow.
8 legs, and a pair of pedipalps. Perfect.
Wow,
exactly.
very,
you know
very
what
nice.
You're talking about.
So we have an arachnologist in the house? Yes?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah. 2 arachnologists in the audience. Yeah, I'm an arachnologist. And my job here has many, many facets. But one of them is to take care of the preserved collection of arachnids and myriapods. So I maintain the specimens for people who study anatomy and molecular evolution. So it's a little different to the people who work with the aquarium, who are also curators, but they take care of the live animals.
So I understand you actually have some of those collections with you today. Can we see some of them?
Yes. So when Sonia invited me to do this, I decided I'd make it a show and tell.
Ooh.
Where to begin? I'm not going to start with, yes, I'll start with spiders. I have some spiders here that I want to pass around. The names are written on top. And I have a black widow. I'll start on this end. And on this end, do you want the brown recluse? There's the brown recluse. That's the real thing. This is a spider that everyone is afraid of. And in fact, they don't live here. They live in Missouri and Kansas and Texas. They're very characteristic. There is a species that was introduced into Southern California, a species of violin spider, and it lives there still. It's very rare. It lives in basements and undergrounds.
Is it quite as dangerous as people say they are?
You know, they are dangerous spiders. Brown recluse, violin spiders, are any member of a genus, we use the scientific name Loxosceles, and there's about 100 species around the world. And most of them are, they live out away from people. There's a desert species that lives near here. And there's a few species which live in houses. There's the Araña del Rincón in South America. That's real common in houses in Chile. And lots of people get bitten, and most have no knowledge of this. You know, they don't have a reaction. But in rare cases, there's some interaction between the venom and the person's physiology such that the bite of the violin spider or brown recluse can cause a sore that won't heal. And sometimes it can even lead to the loss of a limb or death.
Whoa.
This is a really rare situation.
Might be the reason why many folks in the audience might not feel quite as lovingly towards spiders as you do. Some of the ideas about spiders being a little bit more dangerous to us being such small animals. Is that true of most spiders, though?
Most spiders are absolutely harmless to people. If you're a fly, watch out. But if you're a person, there's no worries. And I'm going to pass around 3 spiders now that live in our area and which are really harmless. This is the so-called daddy long-legged spider or cellar spider. I'll start at this end again. Yeah, this species is introduced from Europe. It's very common in cool places. Has everyone seen our brown recluse?
I would like to see it, actually.
There you go, Sonia.
Excellent.
This is the aggressive false tarantula. Some of you may have seen this, and probably you all will one day. This is not a real tarantula, but it lives in the ground. It's big and hairy. I'll start on this end again. And as soon as it starts raining, the males will come out of their burrows and look for female false tarantulas, and people will call the academy and send us photos. So these are not dangerous either. They're our biggest native local spider, and their defense is to try to scare you. If you encounter one, it will rear up and it will strike at you, but they're not dangerous. They're just bluffing.
So it sounds like you're very, very interested in spiders, and I'm kind of curious, how did you become interested in spiders? How did you become a spider expert?
Oh gosh, it's a long story, but I'll make it short. So I grew up in Los Angeles, and the wildlife, the wilderness was in my backyard. And the wild animals were insects and spiders. And I used to be able to sit for hours watching a spider in its web or ants coming out of the ground. And I always had that interest, but when I went to college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I studied political science, I studied anthropology, but I had the opportunity to get a job as an entomologist. And my job was to wade in a salt marsh with a vacuum cleaner on my back, a big, heavy 3-horsepower motor that powered a big sucking tube. And I had to suck up all the insects and spiders for a survey on potential prey and predators of salt marsh mosquitoes. And that was hard work. The mosquitoes were biting me as well. But the fun part was that once I had collected these things, my professor said, well, now identify them. Okay. There were some good books on identifying insects, but nothing good on identifying spiders. And a salt marsh is a very simple looking habitat. It's essentially two-dimensional. And yet there was a huge variety of insects and spiders. So I began little by little to try to identify them. First, I think I got everything wrong. I was at UC Berkeley, so we had a collection that I could compare to. And I would come here to the Cal Academy too, which has an awesome collection. And little by little, I learned more about them, and I felt I had special knowledge.
Nice.
So having special knowledge, I've stuck with spiders ever since. And spiders have been really good to me.
Have you? Do you all agree? He's pretty knowledgeable about spiders. So far, so good. I've already learned some new things.
I have one more local spider to show you, a harmless one. These are from the tropics, but they've been introduced into the Bay Area. This is the giant crab spider, or huntsman spider. And they live in warm places in the tropics. People are happy to have these in their houses because their favorite food is cockroaches.
Oh.
So wherever you have the giant crab spider, your cockroach problem is much, much less. It's real hard to, I've handled these, and if they're threatened, they'll try to bite. But they never bite anybody without being threatened first.
Yeah.
So they live in houses quite happily with people. And people I know from tropical Asia really are happy to have these spiders in the house.
That's a really great thing to note about spiders being so useful in eating pest animals, definitely. And also that they will only bite really when threatened. That's something that often we think of with a lot of the kind of crawly, creepy animals like snakes and spiders. They get a bad reputation because people do have bad experiences with them, but they're also very, very useful. Yeah, question over here. Is
Pardon?
the crab spider poisonous?
The crab spider, is it poisonous? Well, I'm going to give you a complex answer to that. Yes, it is. It uses poison to kill the cockroaches. In fact, almost all spiders are poisonous. But are they dangerous is always the next question. And the answer to that is no. To be poisonous, you're a spider. Almost all of them are poisonous. But to be dangerous, you have to be three things. You have to have a poison that's powerful. You have to be big enough to deliver it to a person. And you have to have a bad attitude. There are lots of spiders that are so retiring that you couldn't make them bite you. But around the world, there's a handful of species, and I didn't bring any of those today, that are actually aggressive. They have a powerful venom, and they're big enough to hurt you. And here, only the black widow falls into that category. You all saw the black widow I passed around.
That's right. That was this one here. Did you want to say
I don't consider the black widow aggressive, but if you encounter the web by accident, say in your garage, it might bite you thinking that you're something you're not. I see some questions here.
They brought some spiders.
You have some spiders. Maybe at the end I can look at them for you, because I have my hand lens, and I'll see if I can identify them. Great.
That is pretty exciting. So,
I actually want to talk about some other arachnids. So here are some of the things that we study. This is a beetle. That's the Philippines Easter egg weevil. There's actually hundreds of species.
It does kind of look like an Easter egg a little bit.
Yeah. This is a vinegaroon. It's non-venomous, but see that long tail? It's got vinegar squirters near that tail. That's how it defends itself. And the rest of these are spiders. This one at the upper left is a spider that we discovered in caves in Oregon. It's a big spider. It's as big as the brown recluse, a centimeter or more across its legs. And we only discovered this a couple of years ago. And it's so different to all the other spiders in the world that my team and I had to designate a new family to contain this spider. It is remotely related to all the other spiders on Earth. We call it Trogloraptor because it lives in caves and it grabs its prey. This is the first new family of spiders discovered in North America for more than 100 years. So it's a pretty exciting discovery.
Yeah, you must be very proud.
I am. I spent my whole career being ready for this. Studying the details of spider morphology and evolution. And when I saw this, I knew it was something different. It took us more than a year to figure out what it wasn't and what it is. I actually want to pass around some scorpions.
Who's excited about scorpions?
I'm going off script.
Okay. We have quite a few in the audience that seem very excited about this.
So I've got some jars. These are all preserved.
I can help pass these out as well.
Would you like a scorpion?
Who wouldn't?
Oh, excellent. I'm going to give you 2 scorpions. Because I want you to observe some things. Give that one to your sister. Okay. Here's 2 more scorpions. Who would like to hold the scorpions?
We have some
Take that one.
Scorpion holders.
Here's that's a good one. That's a special one. And I got one more jar of scorpions. Who wants to hold the last jar?
I think she wants the scorpion over here.
Now I want you all to look at your scorpions, and I want you to show them to your neighbors. And can you tell how they're different? Now scorpions are a very ancient group of animals. They're more than 300 million years old. And
do you want me to
the
pass
definition of a scorpion is the pinchers and the stinging tail. And I want you to look at the pinchers and stinging tails of these different scorpions. Compare them, ask your neighbors about them, because I think you may see something interesting. And it becomes the rule of thumb for scorpions.
Now, this is a great point as well. Anyone here right now, you're being a scientist. Really what it takes to be a scientist is not necessarily knowing everything already, but having the curiosity and the ability to look at things or to observe in some way with some sort of sense something in your world. So this is a great exercise of really being a scientist. All of you are scientists right now. You don't necessarily have to be an expert, although over time, if you really go for it and look at a lot of different things, you might become an expert like Charles.
So notice 2 things. There's one kind of scorpion, and there's a few specimens that's got really fat pinchers. Huge. They're like a lobster. But the tail is a skinny little thing. There's some other scorpions. One's called Arachnologist and one's called Centroides. And compare the pinchers on those to the big ones. Those have really slender pinchers. They're almost like needles. But this one here, the Arachnologist, has a huge fat tail. So this is the rule of thumb for scorpions. Fat pinchers, no worries. Fat tail, watch out.
Okay.
The family Buthidae, including Anuroctus and Centroides, are deadly scorpions, and they can be recognized by their very narrow pinchers and their relatively fat tails. Question? Yeah.
So what did he notice?
Yeah, the body is fat and the tail is very thin. This is the emperor scorpion. You may see on YouTube the world's record for the number of scorpions in bed with a man or woman in Thailand. I've seen this on YouTube. And yeah, it's true. People can bed down with lots of scorpions, but they know that these are harmless. The Centroides and the Anuroctinus, on the other hand, you don't want in bed because they can be very dangerous.
Are the ones with the thick tails that happen to be dangerous, does the thick tail just have more space for venom to be created or to be delivered in that area?
Yes, a little of both. Their tail is very powerful. It's their principal device for killing their prey. They use the tail. Their venom, they have more venom, but it's also more potent. The skinny-tailed scorpions use their claws to kill their prey. In fact, they may not sting it at all.
Wow.
So that's my scorpion lesson today.
Yeah. What's the question over here? What do they eat?
What do
they eat other
scorpions eat?
insects or?
Scorpions eat all kinds of things. Many eat other scorpions. In fact, in deserts in North America, the principal predator on scorpions is other scorpions. And some are even cannibalistic.
I'm going to come around and collect the scorpions in case you're done with your scorpions. Looks like some of you have quite a few of them.
Yeah, that's my scorpion lesson for today. So, yeah, scorpions are arachnids.
Cool.
They are arthropods with 8 legs. And they have pedipalps. And in scorpions, the pedipalps are the pinchers.
Thank you very much.
I want to pass around one more kind of animal. It's not an arachnid.
Thank you.
It's the only arthropod that really frightens me. These are preserved, so you don't need to be frightened. But I'll put one at each end. You can pass that one around. Pass these around. These scare me.
They scare you.
Yes.
I wouldn't expect you to be afraid of any of these.
Well,
since you know them so well.
I know how to handle them. I also know that they're bad news. Centipedes are another arthropod. They're not arachnids. And they're venomous. But unlike the spider, which has venom in its chelicerae, or the scorpion, which has venom in its aculeus or tail, the scorpions actually have a pair of legs right behind their head that are modified for stabbing. And they're like hypodermic needles. Centipedes are poisonous. Millipedes are stinkers. And
what do you mean by that?
Millipedes, many of them produce a chemical or a variety of chemicals that are noxious. They may smell bad. Some even produce cyanide. So millipedes are inoffensive creatures, but they defend themselves very effectively with a huge variety of defensive chemicals.
Can you think of another animal that does that? Uses smell to get... Yes, absolutely. So a skunk is a great example.
Exactly.
I guess they are the skunks of the arthropod world.
Yes, though they evolved the stinking defense long before the skunks did. Yes.
There's
garlic?
also a garlic star that smells like garlic.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the starfish you might be familiar with.
I
Leather
don't
star.
know that one. That's exciting.
Yeah, also known as a leather star. You rub
Okay.
it and it smells like garlic.
And this guy,
Who knows why?
the vinegaroon, squirts acid.
Wow.
So how do you catch a centipede? Well, I have to catch them as part of my job, and they're fascinating animals too. You can, that would be a good way to do it.
Putting
but then
their
you've
head
got
down
a
with a
problem, because whereas you've disabled their poison fangs, the other end of the body has a pair of legs which are like pinchers. So there's danger at either end. This is what I use to catch a centipede.
Aha.
Very big tweezers.
Very nice.
I have the red tape, so when I drop them in the forest, I can find them again. It's important to grab the centipede right in the middle. If you grab it too close to one or the other end, it'll whip around and bite you or pinch you. So this is how I catch those centipedes.
Yeah, I actually have quite a few tools and different methods you use in the field behind us here. There are quite a few things it seems you use.
Yeah, I actually have the official California Academy of Sciences expedition duffel bag. I'm going to pull out some of my bag of tricks. Okay, where to begin?
Thank you.
This is my collecting vest. I always wear this when I'm in the field studying spiders and other arthropods. I have provision for preserving them and for keeping them alive. One thing that's always important to have in the field is a knife. It's good for digging, for cutting, for a tool to find hidden spiders and insects. So of course I have the little knife. But I've got a whole family of knives as well.
Does anyone here have a Swiss Army knife?
For trapdoor spiders and things that are pretty deep. Where's my knife? Where's my knife? Sorry.
Don't want to go losing that in the middle of the museum.
I'm going to go all the way. For really big problems, I have a really big knife. This is a bolo knife from Philippines. It's very handy. It's used like a machete for hacking trails in the jungle. You can make a chair out of this. You can do all sorts of things. You can use it for digging trapdoor spiders. It's a very good digging tool.
I actually have a picture of those trapdoor spiders.
Yeah.
So a little hole there. How does that work exactly?
Okay, I'm so off script today.
That's okay.
But one of the kinds of spiders I've enjoyed studying are what are called trapdoor spiders. And they're called trapdoor spiders because they make a hiding place of silk and they camouflage it. This one lives on trees, so it uses bits of bark to hide it from enemies. And at one end is a silken door, which I propped open there.
Wow.
So it's a trap door. And most of the time they'll hold this tightly closed. You don't even know they're there. To find these on trees, looking doesn't help. You may find an empty nest with the door open, but to find the living spiders, the best thing to do is to feel for them. So we go through the forest feeling the trunks of trees for a soft spot. If we find a soft spot, we poke it. If it pokes back, there's liable to be a trapdoor spider inside. And then I use the little knife again. Whoops. To cut away the bark, leaving the nest intact. And I can bring the spider home alive. They live a long time. They're actually long-lived animals.
Wow. We have a question over here. Trapdoor spiders are your favorite spider. That's pretty exciting.
We have several species around here. Yeah, you should watch for them if you're in the forest. They're really hard to find. But if you see one, you'll be really lucky.
So would you recommend going up to trees and just kind of feeling around?
You know, these spiders don't live here. They only live in the southern part of the world. Do we have the biogeography slide?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. This is another reason I study spiders. I'm interested in Earth history. We know that climates have changed through Earth history. We have lots of fossil evidence for the movement of the continents, for dramatic changes in rainfall and temperature. And my question is, to what extent have living things been affected by climate change? And my study system, which is jargon for the animals or plants that you love to study, are trapdoor spiders. Now, the ones that live on trees only live in the southern parts of the world. They live in New Zealand, Australia, Madagascar, Africa, and down in Chile and Argentina. They live far apart from one another today. So how did they get where they are? Well, that branching diagram here, I'll use my big knife again.
It's a good pointer.
That's called a cladogram. That's jargon. It's official jargon for an evolutionary tree. It is our best hypothesis how these different organisms are evolutionarily related to one another. And what I've done here is I've replaced the names of the spiders with the places where they live. So the ones in Australia and New Zealand are more closely related to those in Africa than to Madagascar. And the really weird but exciting thing about this is that those from Madagascar, the ones that live right here, are not at all closely related to those from Africa. The ones that live right here, only 200 miles away.
Interesting.
This pattern of relationships among the spiders that live today.
Hold on.
Are more than just decoration.
I don't know if they'll hear you for 2 seconds here.
In 5 minutes for Discovery Nature Walk, a short outdoor tour to learn more about the stories and uses behind plants in the Academy's landscape.
There we
Or
go.
stay with me and learn more about arachnids. So the answer to this story is that the pattern of geography in the living spiders mirrors what we understand about continental drift. If you go over to our earthquake exhibit, you'll learn all about continental drift. All the continents on Earth were once together, and they've broken apart. They've drifted very slowly, about as fast as your fingernails grow, to where they stand today. And these trapdoor spiders are so old that they have reached their modern distribution by riding on those continents.
Very cool. Question
Yes.
over here.
Yes, exactly. As you say, continents continue to move, and they will get back together. You know, Africa was an island for a really long time, and it only crashed into Eurasia about 20 million years ago. Australia has only been an island for about 20 million years. It was connected to Antarctica and South America, and through that landmass, which was covered with beautiful forests, spiders were able to move. And many of the researchers here in the Arachnology lab are studying the relations between spiders in South America and in Australia and New Zealand.
Wow.
If I had a time machine, I think I would go back 30 million years to Antarctica when it was green. That would be really exciting, and I think I'd find a lot of animals and plants that are familiar. You can see some of these over in the earthquake exhibit.
Spoken like a true scientist, very excited about his science. So we have a lot of, we have potential for a lot of time, but there are so many things that we could cover here. You will all just have to come back another day. But I do understand that you have something to show us.
Yes.
One last thing.
Okay. Many of the techniques that we use to catch spiders are standard for entomologists. The big knife, the net, the sifting bag. This is for extracting things from leaf litter. When we talk about litter, we don't mean cigarette butts and plastic. We mean leaves and sticks and dirt. This was made by my mother-in-law, the most wonderful mother-in-law in the world.
Aw.
And I've used it all over the world. But there's a special technique for finding spiders, because spiders have something that none of the other insects and arachnids do. They have silk. They make webs. And we have a thing called a web duster or puffer. There I am using it to make that web appear. Many webs are invisible in nature. And let's see if this works.
Aha, so it looks like we have a real web here. Let me move your...
I hope there's a web in here. These are cellar spiders, which I put in here a week ago. There's one at the upper corner. But I hoped that they would make webs. So I'm going to put a black backdrop. Can you see webs in here? Can anybody see webs?
I thought I saw something there.
Yeah, there's a little bit of silk. Okay, we've got our... Whoops!
Here, I can help you if needed.
You can see the spider.
Can you see it on camera over there? Okay.
Okay, this is the puffer. And that fine dust is cornstarch. It's good for baking cakes too. But we use it to find spiders. And what I'm going to try to do is visualize this web. Let's see if it works. I see some. It's becoming visible. Okay. No, they don't cough. Their way of breathing is very different to ours. Have a look at this. So that's the unique collecting method for students of spiders, the puffer.
Wow. What do you
And-
think? Any future scientists, spider scientists out there? Yes, definitely.
I hope so.
Okay.
I hope so.
Wow.
Well, in the future, we're going to have classes here at the California Academy for our visitors where you can learn all about nature. And so you can be junior arachnologists, and then when you go to college, you can study at UC Berkeley or San Francisco State, where I'm a professor, and you can become a professional entomologist. So
Very nice.
your path is clear, I hope.
One would only hope. There are so many different kinds of arachnids and different insects and all sorts of arthropods out there, even in the ocean. So I do encourage you all to go explore. We give a huge round of applause to Charles. You went above and beyond. Thank you very much. And if you would like to stick around and talk to Charles, look at some of his tools, check out these webs, or maybe show off some of your specimens that you
excellent.
brought,
Yes.
feel free to stick around. If not, thank you so much for coming to chat with the Academy Scientists, and enjoy the rest of your day.